not going to make you guys stand. We know you're all wiped out for the race weekend, other promotions. We got chairs coming out. Hey, Paul, good to meet you. You're on my show today. I was the guy yelling in your ear on the show. Paul was on my show on CNBC today, too. We appreciate it. Thank you. And as soon as I tweeted it out that you were on the show, Dario Franchitti followed me on Twitter. It's a true story. I guess it's the whole sort of, you think I'm Italian, but I'm actually Scottish mafia. Look at this. It's great. Great to see everybody out here. And guys, I know you're all very, very tired for the weekend. We appreciate you spending some time here in New York and getting prepped up for the European Grand Prix. Quickly, you don't need my introductions, but Charles Pic, got that right? The correct pronunciation? Pic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, c'est vrai. Yeah. Bon. Sergio Perez, the great American hope. Is that you? Yeah. Alexander Rossi, which we love. Yes. And Paul Di Resta of Milan. And we'll do kind of the same thing. I'll just hammer you with some of my questions, just because I'm being selfish and I'm the one sitting up here, and then we'll open it up. But I won't blather on for too long. And I'll just start here, Paul, because you were gracious enough to come on the show today. All of you are young. All of you are with up-and-coming teams. You all have bright futures. I liked watching you in DTM. You guys are going to be successful at anything you do. Where would you, Paul, like to see the sport of Formula One go? What do you want to see happen in F1 that could most make you excited about the direction of the sport?
I think it's difficult to say. I think the direction of the sport is obviously very appealing to me. It's grown. This year is the first year ever to have 7 different winners and 7 different Grand Prix. So as far as that's concerned, I think that people looking outside of it have to be interested. I just want to be part of that, and it's something I've grown up loving, an ambition, a goal I've set myself, and I've become the driver. Now you want to become a race winner and a world champion with that, and Formula One is yet to peak. I think it will get better through the years. It has some great manufacturers, and the special feeling to be part of that is driving.
And there's a great thought that Formula One cannot truly peak until it is successful in America. Okay, taking away the Indy tire debacle, I saw it as a kid at Long Beach. Maybe Raj, you probably went to Watkins Glen. I was not old enough to watch Watkins Glen and Francois Severt and everything. Americans have not fared well, to say the least. I'm being polite at F1 as drivers in the last 15 to 20 years. Alexander, how are you going to do it?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I did, I think, was I got over to Europe at quite a young age, and I first went to Europe when I was 16, and I fully went into that whole culture and started to embrace it and learn as much as I could. And I started, in the lower levels of European open wheel formula, and slowly progressed my way up. And while I am, American in every sense of the word, the Formula One is very specific, and it is, very European, and there is certain things you have to do in order to kind of appease the egos, if you will, that are in Formula One that do exist. And
you're right.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a balancing act, and I'm definitely here to represent America in Formula One, and I'm thrilled that there's going to be 2 races by the end of next year, and hopefully I'm on the grid then. And
why did the California? Listen, I grew up in California racing karts and whatever, and I realized my problem was just no talent, so therefore I stopped. Why did you decide to go overseas? What made you say, you know what? I'm 16 years old. I'm moving to Europe. Most of your friends are wondering who they're going to ask out to the prom.
Yeah, I wondered that too, but.
Prom is a French word for a big show.
Yeah. Basically, when I started watching Formula One at 10 years old, my understanding of it was very limited. All I knew was that it was faster than IndyCar, and so that was where my initial direction towards Formula One went. But as I started watching it and understanding what the sport meant and how it's the best teams and drivers and manufacturers in the world all competing on an international stage, it's something that I desperately wanted to be a part of. And any sports person will tell you that they want to compete against the best and that they want to put themselves up against the best. And And in motorsports, Formula One is the pinnacle. And
Yeah.
so my goal and my dream is to be able to compete amongst the top drivers in the world.
Well, and I've got some good news for you. I know the guy building the track, Red McCombs. I just talked to his people last week. Track is on schedule, you'll be happy to know. And tickets are on sale, pre-sale. And the Comfort Inn, 20 miles outside Austin, $500 a night. Luckily, I'll be sleeping in the Marussia team trailer. But the point of that story is the interest is great. There's going to be a ton of fans there. It's going to be a huge event, so it's going to be massive. And Sergio, congratulations. Of our 4 drivers, you are the highest on the points table. You've had some great finishes this year. It's fantastic to see. What's it going to take for you to get on the podium? I mean, number 1.
Well, just one more position. I think hopefully it can come this year. We have been very close. We were very close in Malaysia, but Formula One is so close this year that it can be in any race. So we have to keep pushing. The team is doing a fantastic job, and we've been very unlucky since Malaysia. To be honest, we had the potential to fight for the podium every race, but for some reason or other, we were getting some problems always at the race. So hopefully from now on we can put more podiums together and hopefully they win.
What do you think has been the change this year? You know, as far as, like you said, you feel like you're in a position every race to be on the podium.
I think basically the exhaust, the blown diffuser that it stopped, it has reduced the gap to the big teams, I think. And also the tires have changed, so people are struggling to understand them. Every time is a different story. It changed the track temperature, it changed the track, it changed the way you have to approach the circuit. So that's why it has changed so much this year.
How big of a deal? I mean, we watch the races. We hear the announcers talk about the tires constantly. The teams talk about the tires constantly. Realistically, how big of a deal are the tires? I mean,
I think it's a very big deal. I think
the change in grip when you go out on a different set. What's the feel for you?
Well, it's a big change. If you go from prime to option, you got to change the driving style straight away because it's another tire. It's a different way to bring the tire up to temperature. So it's not that easy. That's why we struggle all to understand the tire and to take the maximum out of it on the weekend. And you go to a race, for example, we went on Sunday without knowing that we were able to do one stop, and we managed to do with a great pace, and it paid out the strategy.
But do you like that because do you feel like it evens the playing field because it forces you to be more of a driver? Like you said, you have to be aware of the tire all the time, change your style. I would imagine that would play to a driver more than the technology or the car.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not only saving the tires, it's being fast by saving the tires, because if you are saving the tires and you go slow, your strategy is not going to work anyway. So it's very important to do both, which is very difficult.
Very hard. Charles, you know, you've moved up. Congratulations. Watched you in GP2. Always an entertaining race, very fast. Obviously, your team's got some work to do, but it seems like you're putting in work every race. What has been the biggest surprise for you coming from GP2 to the top level, and what's it going to take for you guys to be a little more competitive?
Yeah, so it was my first year, so many things to learn in a very short period of time because we had just 6 days of testing and we were not able to make them all. But I think from the start, I learned race by race and feel better with the team. Marussia is a new team, so I think they need time to work on the car, but they are working very very hard, and we are working very hard. So I think we have to keep pushing like that, and it will come.
I will ask you the question that probably every racer from the beginning of time, no matter what series they're racing in, has asked. How much, because now that you're in a Formula One car, the pinnacle of motorsports, how much is the car, how much is the driver? And you could say all the drivers are the same.
No, I mean, in Formula One it's free, so it means you can develop everything you want on your car. So, of course, there is more difference than GP2, and between, I think, the top car and the last car, there is difference for sure. Big one, except if this year the mid pack is much more close. And I think it's the reason why we had great fight this year. Anyway, after, I think if you are good, you can show that you are good with the car you have. But I mean, in some car you cannot win even if you are good.
But and that's the way it's. But that's the way it's. I mean, everybody here knows, and Roger, and it's been that way for forever. You know what I mean? There's always been cars where the odds, and I think Vettel surprised everybody a number of years ago when he came out in the rain and did what he did. That's the beauty of the sport is watching the opportunities. And Paul, when you race in the rain, as a guy, you're on a team that is competitive. Do you look forward to the rain? Because do you think it provides an opportunity to say, this is where the driving is really going to shine? It's scary and it's hard to see and it's more dangerous, but it does provide you, doesn't, with the opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, in the rain, obviously, confidence is a bit lower.
Especially being Scottish.
Safety, safety is the primary thing, and we've been fortunate enough in the damp, tricky conditions. We've maximised in any opportunity we've had from it. So we as a team look forward to it, but it can be as unpredictable and it can catch you out. You can be in a strong position as we were in Monaco, and it started to rain 5 laps before the end, and that was the last thing we needed, just because it brings another risk to it. But there'll be some races where you think a little bit of rain here wouldn't go wrong, and and it just.
That's where Senna shined, right? That's where Vettel got his first big. I mean, isn't that? Well, you can get your big break sometimes.
It is a time to shine, and probably the better conditions for you to be a hero is when you're on slicks, and it's that there's a drying line, because you can make a bit of an extra difference. The guys at the front obviously go for the safety margin, whereas we need to take risks to try and show the potential.
Alexander, script your future. Obviously you want to get in, you want to be on the grid. Looks like you're headed that way. I know all of us. I'm pulling for you. What's your future? What do you want to see F1 look like for you in a couple of years?
Yeah, I mean,
which team would you like to be on?
Well, that's quite simple.
Besides Force India.
My future is with Caterham F1. I mean, they've given me the opportunity that I have at the moment. And I'm very proud and pleased to be a part of the team. Honestly, I mean, they're a new team, but what they've shown in the past couple of years and the steps that they're taking forward is fantastic. And they're a team that fully embraces, where Formula One is going, and that's quite obvious with their partnerships with GE and Dell and such. And they are one of the few teams that's actually going after corporate.
Damn, America. You've been media trained very well, son. It's got CNN on it, which I don't like the CNN, but I do like the GE on there. Yeah. It was a great answer. Great answer.
Thank you. But yeah,
how do you get there?
Yeah, you have to win races, obviously. And I'm competing in World Series by Renault, which is just below F1 with Arden Caterham. And I'm participating. I participated in free practice in Barcelona this year. So we are taking steps in the right direction. And the goal for me personally is to be on the grid next year. And the timing for that is quite good with 2 Grand Prix coming in 2013.
Since the best most of us will do is iRacing on this kind of stuff, and my little SCCA car. What's the difference between what do they call it? The 3.5, 3.5? Yeah, and the F1 car, and they've had a chance to test it.
Well, actually, World Series this year, they came out with a new car that's actually comparable, if not a tiny bit quicker in some situations than GP2. And with the DRS that they have in the car, it's one more thing that brings it closer to F1. And, it's quite a competitive championship this year. But honestly, the main differences you're going to see in any top-level junior Formula compared to F1 is just the overall quality of the car. The biggest thing that I noticed when I got into an F1 car was how no matter what the track conditions were like, how it was like driving on glass. And you could just feel how well made the car is and how perfect it is. And that just inspires a massive amount of confidence for you to be able to push the car. And that's something that is a little bit missing in the junior Formula cars, just because the budget to make the cars aren't the same.
When you look at the geography of Formula One too, thank goodness we're coming back to America now. Maybe twice next year, which would be great. But with the exception of Brazil, you really are looking at a hole in the Americas, right? And there's a ton of fans. How do we expand it a little more? Do we need to get back to Argentina? Do we need to get to Mexico? Where can we grow in the Americas? For F1, huge fan base and not a lot of opportunity to go see the races in person.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us now that we have Austin. It's very close, first of all, to Mexico. It will be in America, so I think it will become popular because, we all know the sport, and it's such a sport that wherever it goes, it will be popular. And I think with more races coming for the future in America, it will be great. Also, probably it will be a Grand Prix in Mexico. So.
Do you think we should add? Because if we don't add more races, then we're going to have to remove some races. And we've seen the growth in the Middle East and Asia.
Yeah.
Would you be in favor of adding 2 or 3 more races a year in Mexico, in Argentina?
I'll be in favor to add. Of course, I want to drive as much as possible, but I think for the team, it will be basically not possible to do more than 20 races, because already with 20 races, it's quite a lot. So it will be difficult to put more into the calendar, but I'm sure at some point we will add more races.
Charles, it is a little bit, I think, sad probably for you. It is for the viewers, longtime fans, that we don't have a race in France. We don't have more races in Europe. It's really started to move, and I understand that's where the money is. I was just in Singapore for work, and it's a beautiful place, and the track is spectacular. How do we get more F1 involvement in France and in Europe? Do we need that?
Yeah, I think there is 3 French drivers back this year in F1, so it should be good to have a French GP. We have Monaco, who is not so.
That's
so
semi-France.
Yeah.
That's tax-free France.
Yeah.
The Circuit Paul Ricard, or how do we get? Do we need? Does F1 need to be in France?
It should be great, but after you need many things to come together to bring a GP, and it was close, but I don't know now if it will happen or not. So we have to see in the.
Should we have a Grand Prix in Paris or Mexico City first? That's a joke. Okay. Just trying to create a little heat on the panel. Sedeco. Don't have to answer that. Let's open it up, right? You're sick of me. And I'm going to kind of do it in reverse order. It's way in the back. If you can't hear it, I'll spread it. You got your nice big hand up in the blue shirt. Go ahead, please. Yeah, you.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
We hear a lot.
It's hard to see, sorry.
I'm sorry. We hear a lot about Formula One drivers being brave and being skilled. I think the most underrated aspect of a Formula One driver is their focus. You're looking at your wheel, you're looking at playing with the gears while somebody's in your ear, talking strategy, and still trying to go fast. How does a Formula One driver acquire that pinpoint focus?
And to be fair, from now on, it was a great question. For the questions, please direct it to one of the drivers. Just the essence of time so we can get more questions in. Who would like to take that? How do you have your focus on everything? Mm-hmm. Paul?
I think any kind of motorsport, it's one of those things. Is concentration is something you build through the years of go-karting, procedures, getting yourself in it. I think everybody will agree with me. When you first drive a Formula One car, if you ever look at the steering wheel, how much is on there, you have absolutely no idea. And it's all about procedures and just getting them in place. And even to the point in Canada, our team tried to change something, and it wasn't a procedure that we had normally done. And I said it was a bit risky to do that and have confidence that procedure was going to go through. And it's just getting in your comfort zone, and I think that's what you develop as becoming a second-year driver. When the team says something, you're on it. You can actually be on it before they can.
What the hell are all those lights in the steering wheel? We'll go in the tie, because you have a tie. You look good, so I support you.
Checo, the question's for you. Do you prefer basically the old Bridgestone where you were 20 laps of basically qualifying laps versus this, new formula with Pirelli where you're doing a little bit more tire management and not able to just go, 20 straight, qualifying laps, do a pit, and then do another 20 straight and do that 2-3 times?
Well, I think the type of race that you just mentioned is that the one that all the drivers like to do, just to push as much as possible and not to worry about anything else. But I think it makes it very, very complete, the race, to have to worry about the degradation that you're having, the pace, and also for the team, because you have to have the right balance between race and qualifying. You can be very quick in qualifying and set up the car for one lap, but then you will have too much degradation. But it can be a track that doesn't degrade that much. So it's always a compromise that you must have that I think it makes it very interesting for all of us, for the fans as well, because I think maybe the races were a bit boring with the Bridgestone when it was very consistent tire and people were doing one stop without a problem and driving full pace. I think now you can do it, but it has to be on the edge, and you don't know, like what happened to Fernando. He had a big drop in the end, and it's something unexpected. So I think it's very interesting to have such a tire that make us work a lot.
The gentleman in the striped shirt.
But what's the talk amongst the drivers about the limitations on testing? It seems like there's so little testing now to save tires, for the race, and the fact that the gearboxes and the engines all have to run a certain number of races. It seems like the drivers get no testing, or very limited testing. What is the feeling amongst the drivers?
It's difficult for sure, especially as a driver that's debuting in F1 and going up against other drivers that have had 6, 7, 10 years in the series, and it makes the job quite difficult because, like Paul was saying, I mean the procedures that you have to adapt to and everything that goes into it, you're almost learning in your first year in F1, like truly learning, and that's all fine and well, but in Formula One you don't very often get second chances, and so it's a lot of pressure on you as a driver to not make many mistakes, all the while still performing for the team.
Does the limited testing hurt your opportunities to move up?
I don't think so, because what they're doing now and teams are being quite good at is allowing their drivers that are coming up to participate in Friday practice sessions, and that's kind of your opportunity to test as a young driver, if you will, and learn and integrate with the team. And no, it's not a lot, but still 90 minutes in an F1 car is time that you're developing yourself and you're answering questions.
I'd take it, that's for sure. Gentleman in the hat right here, sir.
For Alexander, how do you feel as an American, the challenge of getting into F1? What is the challenge? Because I know you're over there, Connor Daly, but Joseph Newgarden had left and came back to the U.S. What is the biggest problem of succeeding in going to F1?
I honestly think it's not so much that it's difficult for Americans to get to Formula One. It's just that the interest and the numbers of Americans that have actually gone over to Europe to try and do it is much reduced. So it's not that there's anything inherently in Formula One against Americans, because I honestly haven't had any issue with that whatsoever. I mean, yes, there's a bit of culture that you have to integrate to, and there is language barriers when you're living in different countries and such. But at the end of the day, there's not any other challenges that I think stick out to Americans more than someone from Scotland or Mexico. I think it's the exact same. It's just there haven't been that many Americans that have actually attempted to do it, so the numbers that have gotten there are reduced.
In the far back with the hat on, sir. Go ahead, and if you can't hear you, I'll relay the question. Yes.
I'll direct it to Charles. Charles, the last race I attended was the 2005 USGP. And in that race, we had a big problem with the Michelin running teams. As a driver, in that situation, what can you do, or what can you assure fans? There was maybe 100,000 fans in the stand that day that had to see 6 cars go around. Would you, as a driver, push more in a situation like that to try to get out there and race? Or what do you do in that type of a situation where maybe there's a track condition that is a little marginal, and you may look up in the stands and see all these people? What can you do as a driver to assure U.S. fans that we'd get a race?
Yeah. First in 2005, I was very young, so I was not able to.
He was 6 in 2005.
No, but it's hard for me to judge, but I think that security is very important, and a lot of effort from the FIA and the team on this side, and after, for sure, you have a situation like that who are, I think, not good for anybody, because when we are there, for sure we want to race. But I think, if they take this situation, it was because there was some issue with the security.
And did you ask that because Michelin's a French company? Is that where this is going? This is anti-Francophile sentiment? No, this is not a political forum, sir. No, I'm kidding. Yes, sir. Gentleman in the white shirt. I'll get you.
If you and your teammate changed engineers at the next race, your engineer goes with your teammate's engineer begins working with you, how much of a difference would that make? Do you have to sort of restart from zero, or very easy, just pick up where you left off?
No, I mean, you don't start from zero. At the end of the day, each engineer knows quite well our car, but it's like this is your second driver. Your engineer has to understand you, what you mean, the terms that you want, how you want the car, and this is why it's important to build a good relationship with your engineer, because it makes such a big difference, the little details you change on the car. I mean, at the end of the day, I think to find the 2/10 that you need all the time, it comes with the engineer and the driver, so I think it will take some time, few races, to adapt to another engineer.
In the blue shirt right here? Yeah, yes.
Alexander, I know you'll give me the political answer, but how likely is it that you'll just be out for FP1 with John Austin?
It's in November.
How much would you like to be?
I would love to, obviously, being an American, to be able to drive at Formula One's return to America. And
He will, he told me.
Like I said, it's in November, and it is something that I would love to do, and to just as an American, to being a part of a country that is so patriotic, and you're brought up on the flag, and you're brought up on representing your country, and to be able to do that would be a dream come true.
Right here underneath the camera, yes, sir. You.
Before, you've had some fantastic races in your junior career and since you've been in F1. But is there any F1 race you've ever watched, either live or reruns, you thought, wow, I wish I was on the grid for that?
Well, I think there's many. I think when you grow up loving the sport, I mean, there's different circumstances you'd want to be in, but I think one battle that always sticks in my mind is the one at Dijon, and I'm sure it was Villeneuve having the battle.
Villeneuve Prost, right?
And I don't think it was
Was
Prost.
it Prost? Who was it with the?
Rene, that's it.
Who was it? Rene Arnoux.
And
What you spoke about the
it was. I got asked to pick 5 great moments last year by the BBC, and that was one of them. And when you actually race at Dijon through that section, as I did about 3 years ago, you actually realise how much commitment they had, and they weren't thinking much else other than getting to the flag.
In the orange hat here, number 4.
Question for Sergio. So you had the bad stunt in Monaco last year, and you went to Canada. You weren't quite right. And can you tell me, does your team, Fazio, or Conan want to have the same size ways come back from, I think it was just a concussion, among other things? It was great to see you back as soon as you did come back. Just curious if there's anything special going on.
Yeah. Well, it was a very big shunt. I lost consciousness for something like 4-5 minutes. So it was quite a lot. But in my normal life, I was feeling better and better and better. So I thought I was going to be able to drive. But when I went into the car, I was feeling very dizzy, every braking point, every acceleration. I was getting very sick, so together with the team, we took the decision not to race because it was too early. It was only 15 days after my accident. And then I went back home to Mexico to recover with my physio, to do some rehabilitation. And it took me a while. I remember, I think probably it took me 4 or 5 races more to be able to be up to 100%. But of course, it was my 5th or 6th race in my Formula 1 career, so I wanted to be quite early in the car. I was afraid to lose my place or anything like that, so it was quite important to get back soon.
Yes, sir, in the gray shirt in the front row, the second level.
Yeah, question for Paul Dresta. How important is social media to you? Are you engaging with fans on Twitter or Facebook? One-to-one?
Yeah, it's one thing.
He's on Twitter, I know that.
One thing in Formula One, I think, it's obviously it's very restricted in terms of how close you can get to it. But in terms of that, our schedules are so busy. To interact is quite difficult. So we've tried our best. But I am on Facebook. I am on Twitter. We've all got internet sites. So it's the way for you to get across to your fans and equally get across to the media and really you as an individual away from the track express yourself and feelings.
Are you frustrated that somebody else has @Paul DiResta and you're relegated to @Paul DiResta F1? How do you get your name back? Because some other guy has Brian Sullivan. He's in Canada. He won't give you the name. He's got like 100 followers.
Yeah, it's frustrating that you have to use something different. But some people are just quick off the mark, and there's plenty of fake people out there that you don't want to be following, acting on my behalf.
Paul DiResta, sex bot. You got
That's
nice
me.
and straight in the second row there. Yes, right there. Yes, thank you. Very good.